Welcome to the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians, November 22, 2024 board meeting. This meeting is taking place at the Department of Consumer Affairs headquarters located at 1625 North Market Boulevard, first floor hearing room, Sacramento, California. My name is Dr. Carol Mountain, and I'm the board president. I would like to call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. At this time, Mr. Abraham Hill will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you all please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we will do some housekeeping information on how this meeting will be conducted. This meeting is being held in person. If we need a motion, I will call for a motion, a second, and open for public comment prior to taking a roll call vote for each motion. Members, for the record, please state your name prior to making your motion or when seconding a motion. We will take public comment on each agenda item. Members of the public who request to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining. Your name is not necessary, but please indicate how you would like us to identify you. For the sake of efficiency, the executive officer may respond directly to public comment or defer to the appropriate staff person or counsel as appropriate. For any questions directed to board members, I will either answer the question or direct it to the board member as appropriate. We will now do an alphabetical roll call to establish quorum. Board members, when your name is called, please introduce yourself and give a brief description of your role with the board. Alita Carpenter.
Yes. Alita Carpenter. I'm a public member.
John Durking.
Good morning, John Deerking, also public member.
Gloria Gregoria Guzman.
Board member.
Abraham Hill.
Abraham Hill, Psych Tech member.
Mr. Maxey is not here. Leslie Moore.
Leslie Moore, board member.
Ms. Nieblas is not here. Rashima Sansan.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, Rashima Sampson, public member.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I'm the education member. Based on the roll call, we have a quorum. We will now move to agenda item 2. We already did the Pledge of Allegiance. So we will move to agenda item 3, introduction of board staff and council. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elaine Yamaguchi, Board's Executive Officer. Welcome, everybody. Good morning, and I do apologize for the weather. I'm going to go slightly out of order here and take a little privilege. I wanted to let the board know that I regretfully report that Mr. Swenson, our esteemed counsel, has retired. He deserved it, but I would have liked to have stayed a couple more years. But in the meantime, we're nobly served by Mr. Christopher Phillips. And
Good morning, Christopher Phillips. I'm happy to be here. Been about a month, so hopefully I can answer all of your questions. My real job is with the Cannabis Control Appeals Panel, so happy to help out here as long as needed.
And so with that, I think I can see just about everybody on staff who's here. Of course, our AEO, Mark Ito. From team administration, we've got Jeff Weiler, Nikki Brady, and I think our IT guru, Ty Tomlin, is around here somewhere. From team enforcement, we have our chief, Antoinette Wood, Mr. Jay Prouty, Miss Rachel Vieira, Miss Brittany Hudson, I think. There you are. Thank you. From team licensing, we've got manager Shelley Brown, we've got Mike Hall, and is Gab here? Okay. And then from team education, our now permanent SNEC, Judith McLeod, Miss Bridget Barrett, Cindy Fairchild, Jessica Gomez, Roberta Thompson, and online we've got Faye Silverman and Tara DeVilo, and we have our analyst, Nicholas Gonzalez. And I believe that is all the staff that's here. Madam Chair?
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 4, acceptance of the minutes from the August 16, 2024 board meeting. We have minutes from our board meeting on August 16, 2024 to approve. These are included in your packets and posted online. The link to the YouTube video of the August 16 board meeting is printed in the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve and a second for the August 16, 2024 minutes?
John Deere would so move.
Thank you.
Abraham Hill, second.
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
We are now open for public comment on agenda item 4 via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. For our mobile device users, you have 3 different screens and only one of them has a hand button. You may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda or the motion?
Yes. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey's not here. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Neeblis is not here. Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. So the motion is to approve the August 16, 2024 minutes is carried by a vote of 7. We will now move on to agenda item 5, board update from the DCA Board and Bureau Relations.
Good morning. I'll take my glasses off for this. My name is Brian Clifford with the Department of Consumer Affairs Executive Office, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'd first like to say, Elaine, I don't accept your apology for the weather. So DCA's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Steering Committee met last month, and we are excited to announce its newly elected leadership. Reggie Varghese, Medical Board of California's Executive Director, will serve as chair, and Marlon McManus, the Board of Behavioral Sciences Assistant Executive Officer, will serve as the vice chair. With Reggie and Marlon's years of experience and sincere commitment, we greatly look forward to accomplishing many DEI initiatives under their leadership. I'm also excited to share that DCA is updating its current Unveiling Unconscious Bias training to specifically focus on board members, your critical roles, and how unconscious bias can affect your decision-making authority. The training will be self-paced and available in DCA's online learning management system, otherwise known as LMS. We anticipate launching this new training in early 2025, and board members will be required to take it annually. As a reminder, DCA offers 20 online DEI training courses in its LMS. While these courses are not mandatory, board members and leaders are strongly encouraged to take these trainings as you are instrumental in leading department-wide change. On November 21st, DCA held its second live webinar to share information about military licensing resources. Attendees learned about licensing resources available to military members, spouses, or domestic partners. The webinar also featured a demonstration of DCA's Federal Professional License Portal and state registration process, which was launched around this time last year. The state's Department of Human Resources, also known as CalHR, recently released an updated travel policy to align with the federal policies outlined in the U.S. General Services Administration. Effective October 1st, 2024, DCA is using the federal standard meals and incidental expense rates for in-state and out-of-state travel. DCA will also use the federal standard and non-standard reimbursement lodging rates. Information on these changes was shared with board leaders at the end of September. Board members are encouraged to become familiar with the new travel expense reimbursement program and rates. Please contact Board and Bureau Relations with any questions regarding these changes. On November 13th, DCA held its third annual turkey drive with donations benefiting Joey's Food Locker, a local food bank located near DCA headquarters here in Sacramento. Donations of frozen turkeys and non-perishable food items were accepted at DCA headquarters, bar headquarters, and the Evergreen building locations in the Sacramento area. Also, every year through our Promise campaign, state employees, including board members, have the opportunity to support the nonprofit causes they are passionate about through payroll giving or one-time donations. These contributions have a positive impact on our communities and is another way for DCA to show it cares for California. This year's campaign is led by Monica Vargas, the Deputy Director of Communications, and Karen Navarro, the Assistant Deputy Director of Communications. DCA's campaign officially launched on November 18th and goes through December 31st. In the meantime, please contact Board and Bureau Relations again with any questions or if you would like information on how to give. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Thank you so much for that information. Appreciate it. Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will move on to agenda item 6, fiscal and budget updates. I believe Mr. Ito.
Thanks, Caesar. Good morning, Dr. Mountain and board members. My name is Mark Ito. I'm the Assistant Executive Officer for the board. I'm excited to be here today to present the budget today. The board and the department, we participate in incremental budgeting, meaning we don't start from zero when we build our budget. We start where we left off the year before, and we make incremental changes to our budgets through things like budget change proposals and budget drills, among other things. For example, there was a budget drill for employee compensation for our staff that got raises through the bargaining unit contract. We needed to adjust our budget to compensate for those raises. For any budget change proposals we have, we also need to adjust our budget. So those are some of the incremental changes that we can make in our budget. Our current year budget is hold on, let me put on my readers here. Our current year budget is $18.082 million, which is a decrease of $318,000 from the previous year. And largely that is due to a BCP that we did a couple years ago for AB 1536 for the school approvals. We got 2 NEC positions and 1 AGPA positions in a 2-year limited term capacity. So those funds did drop off this year. So, and that was $525,000 that fell out of our budget. And those positions, even though they did fall off, we did reclassify 3 of our other positions. We could put those positions into permanent status, so we did not lose those positions. So the first slide I have is our expenditure projections here. It is this sheet right here, if you have it here. So this sheet shows what our prior year expenditures and budget were, and also what our current year budget and our expenditures are through fiscal month 3. A couple of things to note on here is there is an increase to our personnel services, and that is due to us reclassifying those 3 education positions I just spoke about. We reclassified 3 Program Tech 2 positions, and we had to absorb the cost of the increase to those positions, which was about $400,000 when you factor in the salary plus the health benefits. So we did eat about $400,000 with that. We had an increase to our Attorney General line by about $400,000. So that has a lot to do with usage, and also the rate went up as well. So our costs did go up, and we had, in addition to our reduction in our budget appropriation. So typically, we've been saving about $1 million to about $1.5 million a year from our appropriation. This year, because of those two changes, we're projected to save about $200,000. So we're not necessarily in danger to below our budget, but we're at a point now where we need to start taking a look at it more when we look at our costs. So I don't think we're in danger, and it's anything that we need to necessarily freak out about. But we're still in a good spot, but we don't have as much of a cushion as we once did. All right, so moving on to our next slide, we have our revenue projections. So our revenue projections based on our fiscal month 3 revenue we brought in so far, it looks like we are projected to bring in about $24.96 million, which is an increase from a couple years ago, and that is attributed to the fee increase we did through regulations in the fourth quarter of calendar year 2022. So we're looking to bring in about $24 million, and the lion's share of the revenue is brought in through our license renewals. So moving on to our next slide, which will kind of capture both of the slides we just went over. It is our fund condition. Now the fund condition reads left to right and top to bottom. So reading it left to right, it goes from our actual 23-24 fiscal year through budget year +2, which is 27-28. So it reads left to right, and top to bottom, there are 4 sections there. The top section is the beginning balance. That is the balance that we start with at the beginning of the fiscal year. The next section is our revenue that we brought in. The third section is our expenditures, and the fourth section is our months in reserve. So an easy way to look at it is if you take the balance that you start with and you add your revenue and subtract your expenditures, you get your months in reserve. And your months in reserve are, if we don't bring in any money starting today, the months in reserve is how many months we can sustain our current operations prior to becoming insolvent. So due to our fee increase, if we can look here in the current year, in 24-25, we're projected to bring in $24.96 million. And our expenditures look like they're going to be about $19.25 million. We are what's called structurally imbalanced, meaning we're bringing in more revenue than we're actually spending. So our months in reserve are increasing at a rate of about three months every fiscal year. And in budget year +2 and 27-28, it looks like we're going to have 19.7 months in reserve. So what the board is planning to do here in the near future is do a fee audit so we can right size our fees, meaning we want to charge our applicants and licensees the cost for us to actually conduct business for that actual license type. So we're looking to do that. We do like that our months in reserve are increasing. We don't want to get it to a point where our fund is so flush on the back of our licensees. So we're going to do a fee audit here in the near future. With that, I'm done with my presentation. If you have any questions.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the board? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on the budgets. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. As a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Ito.
Thank you, Dr. Mountain and board members.
We will now move on to agenda item 7, education reports, recommendations, and possible actions. Education Division report, Dr. McLeod, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant.
Good morning. Hope everybody's good this morning with all the rain. It was fun coming up here. So currently, staff-wise, we actually have 2 open positions. We did have an NAC who left, and I have moved up into the supervisory position. We are interviewing currently. We have a couple of candidates that we're hoping at least we get one candidate in. So I'll keep you updated. That will come on the next probably board meeting. We've been busy. They've been out on 16 site visits, the NECs this quarter, so that's been pretty good. We did have one site visit where we required 2 NECs. So it's been kind of a busy time for everybody, and with the fact that we are short of somebody, they're even busier than they were. We have had 6 new applications for proposed programs, so we're moving forward with those. We have 10 proposed programs that are in process at the moment. We have probably 2 or 3 that should be approved, we hope, by the end of the year, and then we'll see kind of a flurry. We have about 3 or 4 that we expect to be approved after the beginning of the year. So it's going to be a busy time here toward the year end and the new year. We have some PT programs that we see are coming in the future. So good news over on our PT side there. We did have one current active program that did close this quarter. So we have had a closure, which was voluntary. We are working on at the moment, we are working on Article 5 busily, and we hope to have that pretty much wrapped up by the end of the year so that we can bring that Article 5 to the board for all of you to see all the work we've been doing. I do want to thank our counsel, Christy Shields. She has been a godsend for us with Article 5, and it has been a real adventure, I will say. So I'm anxious to bring that forward to the board for all of you to see. That's coming. The other thing I want to mention is that we did have a item writing workshop that we had with the Office of Professional Examination Services, OPUS, and we had 7 subject matter experts come in to write items for the PT exam, and I will say they had an excellent workshop. Opus was thrilled with the subject matter experts. They were very busy, they were very excited, and we have a lot of great new items to put on the exam, so we're very thrilled. We do have a workshop that's coming in December as well that's going to be part of the occupational analysis. And we have a number of workshops in the new year that will be coming that have to do with the occupational analysis and the test construction. So we're kind of excited of the new year with what's coming. It's going to be pretty busy as far as PT is concerned. So that's kind of what's coming up. So that's the end of my report. Any questions?
Thank you. Seeing no questions. I believe we now move on to the ratification approval of executive officer decisions. Yeah. All right. Do we need to go to WebEx? Or comment?
Technically, yes.
All right. Any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online about the education report?
We are open for public comment via WebEx for the education report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. All right. With that, we will move on to the review, ratification, and approval of executive officer program decisions for the period of September 3, 2024 to October 1, 2024. Can I have a motion and a second?
John Deerking would so move.
Leslie Moore, second.
Thank you. Do we need to read this suggested motion?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Our motion would be to approve and ratify the executive officer program decisions for the period from September 3, 2024 to October 1, 2024, listed in the report dated October 7, 2024. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, thank you. I will now do a roll call to establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Maxi's not here. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. This motion carries by a vote of 7. All right. We will now move on to requests to admit students. Smith Chasen School of Nursing, Ontario, Dr. McLeod.
That's why I didn't get up. I've submitted my report for Smith Chasen College School of Nursing, Ontario campus with their request to admit a class of 30 students on January the 2nd, 2025. They'll be graduating on March 29th, 2026. They're replacing the class that graduated on September 19th of 2024. My recommendation is to approve the admission of this class of 30 students to start on January the 2nd, 2025. I'm available for any questions.
Can I have a motion to approve the Smith Chasen School of Nursing report and adopt the NEC recommendation in regard to a request to admit students, and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Abraham Hill, a second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? I guess they want you to go to the podium. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Is that working? I think so. So good morning. My name is Dr. Tiffany Jorgensen. I'm the Director of Nursing for Smith Chasen College. And joining me today is the wonderful Miss Judy Porlis, our dedicated consultant. And after a very exhaustive search, we finally found our incredible Assistant Director of Nursing, Mr. Bill Ortega, who's joining us today as well. As this board has been witness to our journey this past year, I hope everyone has seen how much we have poured our heart and soul into strengthening and just rebuilding this beloved vocational nursing program. We have worked tirelessly to create a program that reflects our commitment to excellence and to providing quality nursing education. And by golly, like the little engine that could, I think we did just that. So we're very, very excited of what we've managed to accomplish. We put together a dream team of nurse educators, nurse leaders, and even nursing administrative staff. This transformation of this program could not have been done without your continued collaboration of our amazing NEC. Congratulations, Dr. McLeod. on your supervising role, and the amazing board that we have here today. And we're just incredibly grateful for all of the collaboration that we've received and guidance and support that we've received from our team, the board, and our NEC. In light of this positive trajectory and all of this positive momentum we have garnered, we wanted to formally inform the board that the owners of the college have decided to channel all of this positive energy into the continued success of our existing degreed programs and future degreed programs. So as you may know, our vocational nursing program is a diploma program. So though we appreciate the recommendation to approve an incoming cohort very much, the college has decided to forego any future enrollments into our vocational nursing program. But we want you to rest assured that we remain fully committed to our existing VN students, and we will continue to work tirelessly to achieve a 100% NCLEX pass rate for all of our current VN students. And I'll go ahead and pass it over to Ms. Judy Corliss to say a few words.
We just want to make sure that Dr. McLeod will be receiving reports, however she would like them, if it's monthly or quarterly, to report how our students are doing. And what the executive team of the college has assured us is they're going to keep all of our faculty, and all of them will be utilizing all of the resources for every student until the last one graduates, which will be next November. So we're going to keep them and go forward, with that, all the resources. And we're hoping that we can make sure that all the students will get, 100% pass rate. That's our goal. So if you have any questions about our plan to transition, we're here to answer them. If any board members have any questions, or Dr. McLeod. This just happened in the last week or so. So we, that's why we're here.
Madam President, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So when does the transition, when is that going to be fully implemented?
We're beginning now, and it will continue until our final existing VN cohort completes the program, which will be over the next 13 months.
Okay, and Dr. Jorgensen, does that impact whatsoever the request that we have to admit a new class today?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
So are you withdrawing that request?
Yes, we are. We just
found out.
had a corporate meeting, and we were all planning to come here to accept Dr. McLeod's recommendation. We've continued to do everything she's asked, and we've given her all the curriculum, and we're working for the last two semesters. It'll be third and fourth. So we'll continue with that. And everybody that's on the team will continue working with Dr. McLeod to make sure that she approves each and every, cohort that we currently have. So we weren't we were concerned about it only because Dr. Jorgensen here has put an amazing amount of time in, and the students are doing very well. And so we're going to continue that. And then our staff all will still have jobs, and we're going to transition them into the ADN program, including our Bill, Mr. Ortega, and Tiffany will transition into a directorship program.
We do have an existing ADN program, so the owners of the college have decided to essentially channel all of the positive energy we have garnered to strengthen our existing degree program. But we thank you very much for the recommendation, Dr. McLeod.
Well, thank you guys for coming and for telling us. I think everybody on the board is a little bit in shock, as I'm sure you guys are as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they are going in all of their 3 locations into just degree programs. So I can understand that, but we're going to continue with all the hard work, with our current students, and we'll continue to report and work with Dr. McLeod. We've been with her for mostly every month. We meet with her, and we knew we were coming this week. So, you know,
We appreciate all that hard work, and I myself, I'm very sorry after all this struggle. Because we still need great VNs and we still need great VN schools. And I understand the transition, but we still need VNs.
yeah, I know.
So, I mean, we were, of course, this program has kind of become like a baby to us.
Yeah.
We're fully invested, but we are going to continue to remain fully invested until we see that very final VN student graduate and pass their NCLEX. We are not going to step back any of our resources. If anything, we're doubling up on resources.
Okay.
And we are going to make sure we finish what we started and finish on a strong footing and have it be something that we can be incredibly proud of. So
Thank you guys so much for everything, all your hard work, and Dr. McLeod for all your support for them.
Yes. We have a curriculum meeting next week, so we'll be reporting that to Dr. McLeod. So we have a full year ahead of us to work with her and continue to report out, you know, the success of the student.
And they've
So,
they've been reporting as they needed to and submitting as they need to. And they've submitted their complete program assessment on time with good information. So they are progressing. I'm very sorry to hear that it's not going to progress any further.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Any further comments or questions from the board?
Now, Madam Chair, I'll withdraw the motion regarding
Thank
the
you.
request to admit students from Smith Jason.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for coming. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
thanks to
Dr.
all of you, and Dr. McLeod, we'll continue on with you as you request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that surprise change, we will move on to our next school, Career Care Institute, Oxnard Vocational Nursing Program. Ms. Gomez. And representatives from Career Care Institute, you can approach the podium. I think that, yeah.
Good day. I have submitted the report for Career Care Institute, Oxnard, and their request is to have a full-time class of 20 students to commence on December 9th with a graduation date of April the 19th, 2026. Since the report has been written, the school has submitted their response to the violation, and if they follow the response to the violation, I can see that it will help with the students' remediation. Also, last week, they submitted a new curriculum, and I have not at this time had the opportunity to look at the curriculum. Do you have any questions?
Just one, Madam Chair. Thank you. Does the submission of the new information change in substance the recommendations you made in your report?
No.
All right, thank you.
All right, are there any further questions from the board? Can I have a motion to approve the Career Care Institute Oxnard Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations in regard to a request to admit students, and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Alita Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
I'm Jessica Colborn. I'm the program director. This is Evelyn Ariana, our COE. Just want to say thank you very much. And Ms. Gomez is wonderful. This has been quite an experience. We had to do it quite quickly, but it was a very good learning experience and a good opportunity to take a look at our program and see what we could improve. And we are very sure that the changes that we're implementing will be very successful along with our curriculum change. And we look forward to growth within all 3 of our campuses in the next year or 2. So thank you very much.
Okay, any further board discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, thank you. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. This motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will now have Cypress College Psychiatric Technician Program. Ms. Davia. Oh, you're online. Great. All right. If there's representatives from Cypress College, please approach the podium and clearly state your name for the record. Ms. Davia, is there any new or additional information to your report?
Good morning, board members. No, there is not. And I've submitted my report for Cypress College Psychiatric Technician Program with their request to admit 20 students starting on January 7th, 2025, graduating May 21st, 2026. And my recommendation is to approve the request to admit. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Can I have a motion to approve the Cypress College Psychiatric Technician Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations in regard to request to admit students, and a second?
Alita Carpenter, so moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? Online? Are they online?
Yes, they are.
This is the moderator. I have a Cynthia Costa. Is this a member that you're looking for, or is this a member of the public?
That's Dr. Acosta. She's the program representative as director of the program.
All right, Cynthia, you should be able to go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Tara. Thank you. Dr. Mountain and members of the board. Coming in as a new program director or program coordinator, we work so diligently and so hard to turn our program around. So I just wanted to say thank you mostly to Tara. You've been such a guiding light in this new adventure that I'm on. And also to, if any of my team members are here, we've come together. We work so hard to get these students and our passing rates up, and I think we're on a good path moving forward. We've got a lot of new staff coming in and a lot of new changes that we're making, and Tara's been there by our side to get us through this. So we're going to continue to work hard and continue to get this program back on the right track. So we're really hoping that you will approve us for our next term students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Are there any board discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, are there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment on the motion, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our dial-in users, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. The motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you. We will now move on to Summit College, San Bernardino Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson. And if there's any representatives from Summit College, you can approach the podium. Morning. Button.
Okay. Now can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yes, I've submitted my report for Summit College for the request to admit students, both a part-time class and a full-time class. Any questions?
And your recommendation is to go ahead and do
Yes,
that?
go ahead and approve both of those. The reason they keep coming to the board is they're on provisional, so, yeah.
Can I have a motion to approve the Summit College San Bernardino Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations in regard to a request to admit students, and a second?
Board Member Rashima Sampson, I move. Excuse me.
Second?
Abraham Hill, a second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from representatives of the program? Would they be online?
If at all, they'll be online, yes.
All right. I believe they'll be online.
This is the moderator. Would any program representative please raise their hand if they'd like to say something? We have nobody online.
All right, thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, any public comment in the room? Seeing none, any public comment online?
We are open for public comment online. If you'd like to make a comment on the motion, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. The motion is carried by a vote of 7. All right. We will now move on to Medical Career College Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson.
Yes, you have my report for their continuing approval and also to request to admit a full-time class of 20 students on December 2nd with the proposed graduation date of December 19th next year. And this will be a replacement class.
Okay.
And I recommend that we accept this, that you accept this.
Are there any comments from representative of the program? Again, will they be online?
Yes, I
All right.
believe he is.
So they
going
would
to
be online if they were going to make a comment.
This is the moderator. We have Erickson Arado.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, my name is Eric. I'm the program director of Medical Career College. Yeah, on behalf of our school, we would like to express our deep appreciation to Dr. Thompson for her patience and for looking to our curriculum and into our program for us to see which areas we need to improve more. And we are committing ourselves to continue to work harder to make sure that our program is back on track, especially when it comes to our NCLEX pass rate. Thank you, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you for your comments. Any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, any public comment from the room? Oh, did we not get a motion? Oh, pardon me. Can I have a motion to approve the Medical Career College Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Let's see more. Second.
Thank you. Now, are there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, are there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online? Further comment?
We are open for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment on the motion, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. This motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you so much. We will now move on to Sunrise School of Nursing Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson.
Okay. Yes, the program did request to admit a full-time class of 18 students. This would be their second class. The written documentation and the request did not get in time to make it to this report. Since then, the program has subsequently requested a class for February. Also, they were placed on provisional back at our August meeting. And now I am recommending to the board that we do not approve a second class and that they be removed from the program approval program list.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Sunrise School of Nursing Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations and a second?
Alita Carpenter, so moved.
Thank you.
Abraham Hill, second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from representatives of the program? Will they be online?
I thought she was going to be here, but I don't see her.
Okay. Can we check and see if she's online just in case?
It would be Susan White.
Susan White.
This is the moderator. I don't have a Susan White. If anyone from Sunrise is available, please raise their hand. No hands have been raised.
All right. Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? All right, seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? All right, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment on the motion, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you so much. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. This motion carries by a vote of 7. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to our consideration to rescind pattern of admission. Charles A. Jones Career and Educational Vocational Nursing Program. Ms. Silverman.
Hello. I've submitted my report for Charles A. Jones Vocational Nursing Program with a request for a continued approval for 4 years and also consideration to rescind their pattern of admission. Their on their site visit in September, they had 10 violations, of which they have currently fixed 7. The current program director is working with me to fix the rest of them. She actually finished the curriculum and has retired as of Friday. They have appointed a new program director as of yesterday, and I'm waiting to finish up all the documentation. And then the new curriculum and the request for an additional class with documentation that they have enough OB and PED sites will be submitted to me, and then I'll take that to the executive officer committee. If you have any other questions, I'll be more than glad to answer.
Can I have a motion to approve the Charles A. Jones Career and Educational Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Alicia Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
They're not planning on being here.
Okay, thank you. Any board discussion or questions? All right, seeing none. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none. Is there any public comment online?
We are once again open for public comment on a new motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking, Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. That makes the the motion carries by a vote of 7.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now move on to Pacific College Costa Mesa Vocational Nursing Program. Ms. Barrett. Good morning.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. I have submitted my report for Pacific College Costa Mesa Vocational Nursing Program, recommending that their pattern of admission be rescinded. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this recommendation. I do have some additional information. During the recent site visits, 5 violations were identified. These are itemized in the report you have in front of you. While the program has addressed and corrected 2 of these, pardon me, 3 remain unresolved. The unresolved violations pertain to insufficient program resources. And just to add, the program has been given till January 13th to correct these deficiencies. Between October 17th and November 5th, 5 new student complaints were submitted and forwarded to the program director for feedback. The program has since responded, and I am currently reviewing their responses. On November 7th, an additional 5 complaints were received from students. These complaints, as well as the program's recent responses, are still under active review and will be shared with the program.
In addition, a recent student complaints, particularly from the Ontario campus, allege insufficient classroom space for the current student body. I will continue to review the alleged complaints and work with the program to address these issues. They've been very responsive. Please let me know if you require further clarification or additional information.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Pacific College Costa Mesa Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
Abraham Hill, so moved.
Thank you.
Trustee Moore, second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program?
Hi, I'm Dr. Gamble, and I have Dr. Bourne here, and I'm director of vocational nursing program. Dr. Bourne is our dean of nursing. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Ms. Barrett, for her guidance, and we learned great things, great learning experience for us. We are determined to turn program around and make sufficient enough resources for our students.
And I concur with that. I want to thank you, Ms. Barrett, for your guidance.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we've done a lot of work since she visited, and even prior to that, we knew that we had a faculty shortage issue following the pandemic, and we had our faculty that we've had for years and years have kind of taken a culture of their own where they were not willing to work every weekend, and our program is evenings and weekends. And so we expect that they would take a term for assignment for the entire term, and they wanted just to do this weekend and that weekend. And so we're changing the culture, moving out some of the people that are not willing to commit to Pacific College and actually, take an assignment for an entire term. We're also providing teaching agreements for them where they have an agreement where they need to show up and take their assignment for every weekend, or if they can only do one weekend day, then have a team, do a team where somebody does Saturday and somebody does Sunday for consistency for our students, because that's one of the things that we did hear from our students. Also, just wanted to say that out in Ontario, we've done a lot of, we have 2 large classrooms, but we do have we have a couple very small cohorts now. And so our skills lab does have a classroom in it with about 12 seats. And we have a couple of, like I said, small one, 5 students, and another one with 10 students. And then we have a small little, it's not really small, but it's smaller skills lab that has, our OB and PEDS, and we did put some tables and chairs in there in the event that we have, a 5 student class could actually use that room with plenty of room. We do have, I've hired a skills lab assistant to be out there, because we have one at Costa Mesa, and that person actually works across between Costa Mesa and Cerritos, which is another campus that we have. And we needed somebody for Ontario that needs to be there every weekend. And she's wonderful. She's worked for us before. She had a baby and was out for a while, and now wants to come back to work. And so she's going to be there every weekend. And we also, she implemented a program called Team Up that is a room scheduler, so we can make sure that all of our rooms are scheduled. The complaint that Ms. Barrett was talking about was that a class that's already doing their NCLEX review in term 5, and they're working with ATI. We have ATI for our students for NCLEX success, and they are working with a coach online right now. They're in VADI. So they happen to show up on campus for a test. And so we did the best we could, and we put them in the small little skills lab room. But, they complained about that, which of course is a valid complaint. But they should have been home and taking it with Proctorio. And so that is our bad. The other thing, we've hired about over 30 faculty since the beginning of the year. And so we're getting much better. Some of them aren't that seasoned, but they are very committed to Pacific College, and they want to learn, and they're learning a lot. And so I think that they're going to do a great job. And then we have hired some seasoned faculty too, and they're already teaching, which is great, and the students seem to really like them. The other thing is we have a clinical placements coordinator, because one of the campuses, we had quite a few clinical placements actually, but the program wasn't using them for some reason. They wanted to go back to the same places that the faculty felt comfortable, and it really wasn't enough sites, and variety for the students. So we got a new clinical placement coordinator, hired him, I think, in around the summertime. And he's done a fabulous job getting clinical placements for all of our programs, including the VN program. And so now our students aren't just going to SNFs. We've got some acute care sites. Some of them have to travel to them for peds and OB, but they love it. Once they get out there, they complain about the travel initially, but once they get out there, the experience is tremendous for them. And so I think that they will we'll hopefully get more sites, acute care sites with peds and OB, and he's been working on that. But he's visited like 70 places, and we've gotten quite a few of those places. And then the prime hospitals down there, there's 12 of them, and we've gotten 12 of those. And so he's working on the affiliation agreements for those, and we can get our VNs into there. So we're really working really hard to try to improve things. We had a setback with COVID, and then we dropped ATI at that time, and you went to Lippincott, and that didn't pan out for us. Our scores went down. Actually, they were pretty good before we had that, but so we went back to ATI. Our scores of it really improved a lot. And so that's not really a problem for us now. We've built on that. And I just think, and then we were selling Pacific College, we had been up for sale, and we had a buyer, and that buyer kept us on a street. I mean, we were going to close. And 3 days prior to closing, they wanted us to wait another year because they had bought up so many more schools. They really could buy right now. So we declined that and just decided to continue to build our college on our own. So it's been after transferring everything over, basically. So we had to bring everything back. And so it's just been a real tough couple of years for us. But we are determined. We've got a new vice president for instruction, which is Dr. Bott, and he's been awesome and done some really nice things for us. And he's been worked at Cal State Long Beach for many years. And I've been at Cal State San Marcos in the past, and we're bringing a lot of good people on board. And
Thank
Mr.
you.
Nelson,
Thank you for sharing all of your changes and how hard you're working, and we really appreciate that. And it sounds like you guys are moving forward, and I appreciate the work that you're doing and the support that you've gotten from your NEC. I'm just wondering, are there any comments or questions from the board?
Well, I have one question of
Please.
Ms. Barrett. Do you anticipate an updated report for the February meeting, given the new information you received?
Probably not.
Very well.
I'll be able to take this to to Ms. Yamaguchi.
Let's go to the EO.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board for the representatives? All right. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on Costa Mesa. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. As a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do. Thank you so much. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan? I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. And that motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to Pacific College Cerritos. Ms. Barrett?
I submitted my report for Pacific College Cerritos Vocational Nursing Program, recommending that their pattern of admission be rescinded. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this recommendation and some additional information. Some additional information on that is forthcoming. During recent site visits, 4 violations were identified. That is, those are itemized in the report in front of you. While the program has addressed and corrected 3 of these, 1 remains unresolved. The unresolved violation pertains to insufficient program resources. The program has been given until January 13th to correct these deficiencies, and I anticipate that to be done. Between October 17th and November 5th, 5 new anonymous student complaints were submitted to the NEC and forwarded to the program director for feedback, one of which was subsequently determined to be from the Cerritos campus. The program has since responded, and I'm currently reviewing their responses. On November 7th, an additional complaint was received from a current Cerritos student. These complaints, as well as the program's recent responses, are under active review. I will continue to review the alleged complaints and work with the program to address these issues. And please let me know if you require further clarification or additional information.
Can I have a motion to approve the Pacific College Cerritos Vocational Nursing Program report and adopt the NEC recommendations, and a second?
Abraham Hill, so moved.
Thank you.
Let's see more second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program further?
Okay.
So last time when Miss Bridget was there, Miss Barrett was there, and our DON office, we have did not have furniture or something. So right now we have a desk, the file cabinets, and so we lock the key for the room, so we can lock the file over there. And also the skill lab, we moved a couple beds out, so the lab looks much roomy right now, so we can have students there and not look very crowded. So this is what we have done.
And when Ms. Barrett was there, we were just in the midst of moving. And so it was, I mean, she saw boxes on there, unpacked boxes. And it was because we were just unpacking basically and moving.
You just moved, is that correct?
Just moved to a different site.
Okay. Are there any board discussion or questions? I have a quick question, just out of curiosity. What does it cost a student who attends Pacific College?
For our just certification only, it costs around $34,000. And then, but most of our students get a associate in science degree with their VN program, and that program is around 38,000.
38,000.
And with that, they get their books, their uniforms, their ATI complete package, and they get a health tote, a large health tote full of supplies.
Okay.
And then online resources as well.
All right.
I just want to say one thing about all these complaints, and we're totally owning all of these complaints, but we have a couple of disgruntled people that have worked there for years and they have been terminated. And they were removed from their positions that they had, and they continued to work there, but their salaries dropped a lot. And they have been encouraging students to go to directly to the BVNPT without notifying us. So a lot of the comments that, or the complaints that Ms. Barrett is sending us, we, it's the first time we've heard about this thing.
Okay.
And then also they have been posting these same things on Yelp, including pictures of the people that they don't like.
Okay. Sounds like you have some internal work to do. And I do have to say, for $38,000, if I was a student, I would expect quite a bit. That's a lot of money to get a VN degree. Somebody who's going to probably max out around $35 an hour. So I think you have to listen to those students, and I'm sorry that they went first to Ms. Barrett and didn't come to you directly, which would be nice, but I think we have to pay attention to our students' concerns.
We definitely do.
I appreciate your comments and your transparency on that. Any other questions or comments from the board?
And I just want to say that myself and Dr. Bott, who's the VP, and also Dr. Carr, who's the Director of General Education, we have all been out to the campuses. We're making
Okay.
a much more visibility, so that the students, we're right there if they want to say anything that, they don't want to tell Ms. Gamble or
Okay.
Dr. Gamble.
Appreciate those comments. Thank you. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on Cerritos. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
We do. Thank you so much. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. The motion is carried by a vote of 7. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we will now move on to the executive officer's report. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You know, I very seldom get to report really good news, but Mr. Ito, could I have you come forward, please? It's my very great pleasure to announce that Mr. Ito has served the state of California for 25 years. And Mark? And you don't have to say a few words, but go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and introduce your mother?
Yeah, please.
So sitting here is my mother here in the third row, and her friend Ken. Actually, a little backstory is when I was in my early 20s, my anyways, we'll go to that later. So I started back in 1999 on July 1st at the board. And I worked there at the board from 99 to 2014. I started as an office assistant at the board, and I've been blessed. I'll just say that. I've been blessed. Some say I'm the poster child of upward mobility. And I always say I have a sign in my office that says, work hard and be nice to people. And I believe that's why I'm here today. And that's all I can get out, boss.
Good job.
Thanks.
I wonder if Mom would like to make any.
You can make a rebuttal if you like. No?
Well, we're very thankful you came back to the board, Mr. Ito.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yes, congratulations.
Yep.
Job well done.
Many more years.
Thank you.
Okay, the fun part's over. Madam Chair and Board, I have a long list of stuff I'd like to speak with you about. Of course, my written report is in the packet, but a few items that we wanted to make certain we called out for board action. The first of which, of course, is the review and adoption of our strategic plan. Again, I wanted to compliment the board members and our staff leadership for working really hard to develop what I think is a really solid blueprint for the next 5 years for us. I don't know if you want to walk through the draft plan in any detail or not. I certainly can. But I'm going to assume everybody's read it. In that case, then I'll just ask for questions or comments. All right. In that case, we need a motion.
I would move to receive and adopt the elements contained in the strategic plan.
Less than 1
25, 30.
second.
Great.
We ask for public comment.
Sure.
Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on the executive officer's report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Yes. We need to call for a vote, yes.
Yes, please.
All right. Hang on. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7.
Thank you very much, board members. Just, to foreshadowing, the step from here, our consultants from Solid will be working with the leadership team to prepare the action plan that will flesh out our goals and timelines for these strategic planning goals. We'll hope to have that before you soon. Not certainly before the next board meeting. So the next item, of course, is in terms of logistics, our calendar. In your packet is a tentative calendar for 2026. The 2025 calendar has already been approved, but we wanted to see if we couldn't plan out 2 years so that board members and other stakeholders could plan accordingly. But this does bring a kind of philosophical question, among other things. One, of course, is that as we go forward in uncertain budget times, let's call them, we don't really know what may or may not be asked of us from the administration. Our practice acts require us to have 2 board meetings a year. Currently, we try to have 4 quarterly, but it isn't in our laws at all to make sure that we're rotating north and south. But again, up to the board's pleasure. I would say that the department has encouraged us to have meetings here in Sacramento. The cost is phenomenally lower, but if there was a real strong feeling among the board members to hold a meeting elsewhere, like Southern California, or even, Bay Area or Central Valley, we'd certainly be interested in seeing what we could put together. So any comments or thoughts on that? Want to just think about it? But that does bring me back to the frequency of meetings. There's a number of scenarios that we could discuss or employ. But remember, of course, this is the year of 2026 that we're talking about. And so we do have a lot of time to, rethink these ideas. But some of the concepts that we've talked about a little bit would be to move back to 2 meetings a year, or to have a meeting and then convene committees, all the committees, and then the meeting and then the committees, or, the north and south and north and south. So I wanted to make sure that the board members at least had these ideas in their heads to think about. But I would like you to approve the draft 2026 calendar if you could.
Can we ask a question first?
Certainly.
I just wonder, is there an advantage to only having 2 meetings a year? I could think of a cost savings, I guess, but I want to know if there's another advantage to that.
No, it would be entirely cost savings.
Okay.
I mean, since we moved away from the ability to meet completely online, so.
And we don't see that really coming back?
No.
No, okay. All right, so we need a motion.
Had a
Oh, go ahead.
question. With regard to north versus south, when we were meeting in the south, it was advantageous, of course, for the members who are from Southern California and for the schools down there also. But would the cost savings be in transporting the inability or not the necessity of transporting all of the staff and everyone who would have to go to Southern California? Is that?
It's a significant cost, and actually the larger cost, but I think we could probably find a way around that would have been, we incurred a tremendous large cost with the hotels and the meeting rooms.
True.
But with a little bit of work, and the admin staff will probably punch me later, I'm sure we could probably find a state office or a college that would be delighted to let us use their offices to meet. But like I said, it's up to the board if you wanted to just think through this. But again, we have a year to really come up to any kind of thing, any agreement or any plan. And it also kind of goes without saying that if there's like a tremendous outcry in our stakeholders that you must come down to Southern California, I would be happy to discuss that with you. So any other questions or comments? All right.
So we need motion to approve the draft calendar for 2026.
Correct.
Do I have a motion and a second?
Rashima Thompson, motion to approve.
Thank
Move
you.
to approve. Let's see more second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions? Additional? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? And is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on agenda item 8. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, thank you. I will do a roll call, establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. The motion is carried by a vote of 7.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the next item, which kind of tailgates on that, was we placed in your packet a survey. I think you'll probably recall that our general original calendar that we've approved for 2025 does list 2-day meetings for all 4 of our board meetings. As you've noticed from this year, we've cut that back a little bit, and had 1-day meetings and 2-day meetings, half and half. The 2-day meetings I think are really beneficial, and we enjoy them a lot. But the purpose, of course, is to provide training and orientation and enrichment, really, for the board members and for the leadership of the staff. And so to that end, I kind of have a double question for you. One being, is the 2 and 2 scenario for 2025 a good thing? And 2, if you could take a look at this survey and take it home and think about it. What we want to know is just some ideas off the top of your head of things that you think would really enhance your term on the board, things that you've wanted to know more about but didn't want to ask, things that you think would be fun. But anyways, sky's the limit, really. But keep in mind that if you ask me for a really high-end guest speaker, I don't know. The governor's really busy. But I'd be happy to answer any questions or any thoughts you have on the survey itself.
Is there an expected turnaround time to have this submitted?
If you could put it in over to us the first week of December, that would be great. So am I seeing a kind of nod yes of 2 and 2 for next year? Great. Then I'll be discussing that, logistically with the executive committee. Okay, our next topic, of course, the issue that won't go away, the mandatory curriculum hours. Now, as we've talked about over the past year, the concept of the mandatory curriculum hours in our statute for all of our programs. Interestingly, quite a lot of the programs took, I think, really proactive measures and voluntarily worked with their NECs to move back to the 1530 hours that's in our code. I think that's really interesting. I also, of course, I wonder because before the regulation was scheduled to take effect in July 1, there was a federal injunction filed in Texas, which delayed the implementation of that reg. And it was our understanding that they didn't really want to make any large changes before the election. And now, of course, I think we have no idea what's going to happen in terms of Pell Grants, in terms of the Department of Education. So on the one hand, I think, the programs have done a really good job looking at their curriculum and making some adjustments. But I'd also want to mention that I know that as the NECs have been working on the Article 5 regulations, a very, very large and noble undertaking, by the way. This is one of the concepts they've been talking about as well of, is that the right number, or should there be no breakout of curriculum and clinical, or what? So we'll be bringing that back to talk, I think, when the draft regulations are before the board. But in the meantime, all the schools are technically in compliance, which is great. So, and next, just a report on our transition to nurses for our license verifications. The staff has submitted contracts to DCA's business office, and so we're working on it. I still do hope to be able to go live in January 1. Not last. I believe well, part of this report should be under legend regs, but I did want to make certain that in our packet, under the executive officer's report, I did forward the letters and the suggested amendments that BVNPT did submit to the Respiratory Care Board, first for their October 14th meeting, and second for their October 31st, the end of their 15-day comment period. Long story short, at this point, their comment period has closed. I have not seen a meeting scheduled before their regularly scheduled meeting in March. But as you know, a meeting can be scheduled with about a 10-day notice. So we don't really quite know for certain what RCB's next steps would be. I will say, of course, that their March meeting is in the Pechanga Casino in Temecula, so I may go. But in essence, though, we don't feel like our work here is done. I know that a lot of our stakeholders have been asking me if there is a next step, and we don't know. But I will also say that what we have heard from Respiratory Care Board is that their intent is to move into a next phase whereby they create what essentially is carve-outs for, say, the home health care industry and maybe a few others. But we haven't seen anything in print yet. And so, again, it's a wait and see situation for us. But given the impact, is there any questions or thoughts from the board?
I have a question. Is
Yeah.
it gonna, so sad. Um, is it going to be an additional certificate required, like IV certification for an LVN to perform the respiratory care portion?
That is an excellent question. I don't know. Short answer, I don't know. But long answer is, our staff has for the past 5 or 6 years been really thinking through the idea of creating a post-licensure certification, which would be exactly like the IV blood withdrawal format wise. So basically providing that more enriched training and requiring refreshers. But yeah, that's in the future. We don't know just yet. What we do know is eventually the Respiratory Care Board will be working with us to create at least training guidelines, if not actually a curriculum.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I wanted to update the board, of course, on the naloxone distribution issue that we had talked about. At this point, we have not heard renewed complaints from employees or organizations. And so we do believe that the corrections department has been working to both refine their distribution methods so that it's not as incumbent upon a psych tech or a VN to be literally administering medicines. But we still need to go back to that department and see if there is still a need and still a desire to have something specifically from the board, which would, I think, essentially make certain that our licensees who are following this directive are not held for discipline from us. That's going to be something that we're going to have to continue to discuss. Any questions on that? Okay, so my last my last item is something actually that an issue that actually kind of went away. We were contacted by an attorney representing a conservatorship who had received a court order about the administering of medication for a patient. And essentially, we were asked if there was something that the board could do to ensure that, again, our licensees could follow the court order without, again, fear of discipline or fear of violating their scopes of practice. And at this point, we have not heard back from the conservators. And so we think that things are kind of in a holding pattern. But if they do actually want and do request a declaratory or a precedential decision, we'll be bringing that back for the board. Any questions on that? Oh, all right. Well, that is my report, Madam Chair.
Do I need to ask for public comment?
I think so.
All right. Is there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx on the second part of 8. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. We will now move on to 8B, Executive Committee Report. The Executive Committee Report was provided in the meeting resources. I'm wondering, are there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, are there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are once again open for public comment, this time on 8B as in Bravo. Please raise your hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
I do, thank you so much. And I believe at this time we will take a break for about 15 minutes and reconvene at about 5 to 11. All right, I believe we're ready to move forward with 9A, Licensing Division Report. Ms. Shelley Brown.
Good morning. The licensing division report is included in your packet. We are nearly fully staffed. We're currently training 2 new licensing technicians. It's going very well. We're very happy with all of our new hires. We do anticipate that our associate governmental program analyst position will be filled by the end of the year. We just conducted a second round of interviews, so we're very excited to have a full staff. That's really about it that we have going on right now. Did anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Any public comment in the room? Seeing none, any public comment online?
We are open via WebEx for the licensing report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. As a reminder to our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
I do, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Brown. And we will move forward to agenda item 10, Legislative and Regulations Report, Recommendations and Possible Actions. Ms. Carpenter.
Yes. The committee has been very busy these past few months. We've had 3 meetings in between the board meeting. At the August 16th meeting, the board delegated authority to this committee to review and approve BVNPT's official comments regarding the Respiratory Care Board's proposed rulemaking defining basic tasks and services. The committee convened its regular business meeting on September 18th. Executive Officer Yamaguchi reported on the final status of the board's sunset bill and other legislation that the board has been watching. She also reported on the status of the board's work on updating the regulations guiding the LVN and PT schools. The NECs and Regs Council Schliege have been working through this very large project. Ms. Yamaguchi also shared the status of the board's 2025 rulemaking calendar, which we reviewed at today's meeting. Ms. Yamaguchi provided a status report on the board's work regarding the regarding the Respiratory Care Board's proposed rulemaking, defining basic tasks and services, and the upcoming RCB meeting on October 14th. The committee decided to set a Legislative and Regulations Committee meeting on October 2nd to review and approve the language and the accompanying memo. This was to be a public meeting to allow for public comment. Last, Ms. Yamaguchi presented a rough draft of an annual list of legislative concepts that the staff would have authority to pursue if an opportunity arose. The committee moved to recommend that a final version of this list be referred to the full board for approval at a future meeting. The committee then again convened on October 2nd with Board President Mountain appointing herself as an additional member. Thank you. We appreciated her input and her presence. The committee discussed, excuse me, discussed and approved a letter and reviewed the recommended amendments to RCB's proposed modified regulatory language to send to RCB for its October 14th board meeting, and authorized Ms. Yamaguchi and Dr. Mountain to speak on behalf of the board. The committee also welcomed members of the public who provided powerful statements about the potential impacts that the rulemaking would have on their students, families, patients, and communities. The committee again convened on October 28th. Member Sonson was unable to attend, and Mr. Deerking volunteered to serve. Thank you again. The committee discussed and approved a letter and reviewed the recommended amendments to RCB's proposed modified regulatory language to send to RCB for the 15-day comment period on its proposed modified text. And I believe the entire letter has been included in the packet. At this point, the committee requests that the board ratify and approve the committee's actions as discussed.
All right. Do we have a motion to ratify and accept? Is that correct? The Legislative and Regulations Committee report?
Specifically the communication with RCB.
Specifically the communication with RCB. Do I have a motion and a second?
Let's see more motion.
I believe it comes from the committee, so we don't need a second. Is that correct?
I believe that is true.
Oh, so we just need a motion. All right. Great.
I motion.
Any board discussion or questions? Any public comment in the room? Seeing none, any public comment online?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
I do, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I am also a yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7.
At this point, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Madam Chair. So our rulemaking update, the first one, delegation of certain functions. The board might recall this. It was a very, very small change to actually correct a typo in some legislation a year or two back. I believe the entirety of it was to change, the error was according delegation of authority to the executive office, and our corrected regs say executive officer. That package has gone forward. I believe it is with the Office of Administrative Law. So no further action is needed from us. Item B is the development of our proposed regulations on school approval standards. Now, this was part and parcel of, there are two things going on here. One, of course, being the magnum opus being worked on by the NECs and Council Shields. This has been, an amazing large project. They really, I think, took down all the regs regarding the school programs and the approval processes, and have really, I think, forged some very good, clear language. And Council Shields has been absolutely a star. They're almost done. They've gone through something like 6 or 7 days of meeting with going through painstakingly piece by piece by piece. So I feel really confident that we will, of course, have some draft language for the board at the February board meeting. So, and the last item, of course, is to discuss and possibly approve the board's 2025 rulemaking calendar, which should have been in your packet. It's a fairly ambitious rulemaking calendar. The largest pieces of this have to do with language that was put into our sunset bill. So the first one being, of course, the approval of school processes, school approval processes. The second one being the development of a cite and fine program for our schools. So we're excited to be given these opportunities, and it is going to be kind of a lot of work. It will be a lot of work, absolutely. And I do think that the timetable we've laid out is a little bit, let's call it optimistic, but not too far out of line, I don't think. And so at this point, if there's any questions or comments or suggestions on the rulemaking calendar that I could answer for anybody. In that case, then, if the board would like to, yes, please.
Do we have a motion to approve the rulemaking calendar for 2025?
Abraham Hill, so moved.
Thank you.
Alita Carpenter, second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, is there any discussion? Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on the motion for the rulemaking calendar. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand. And we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
We do, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I vote yes. The motion carries by a vote of 7.
Thank you very much.
All right, we will now move on to agenda item 11, enforcement report recommendations and possible actions. Ms. Wood.
Good morning. My name is Antoinette Wood. I'm the Enforcement Division Chief. While you have a copy of my report, I would like to note a few things. The board has an aggressive enforcement program to ensure that timely and appropriate disciplinary action is taken against unprofessional, incompetent, or grossly negligent practitioners. During the course of investigation, the board utilizes the Division of Investigation and our own Special Investigations Unit to investigate cases outside that need full investigation. The board's special investigators are independent fact finders, meaning they are impartial and only determine the facts of the case. Under no circumstances do the special investigators make recommendations on the outcome of the enforcement cases. Due to this distinct difference in job duties, the executive management team has decided to separate the special investigations unit from the enforcement division. The enforcement division chief and the supervising special investigator do not report to each other. Rather, they both report directly to the board's assistant executive officer. Commencing at the next board meeting, there'll be separate reports presented by both the enforcement chief and the supervising special investigator. This change will provide more detailed information and will allow the board members to provide input for each unit on business processes and performance measures. Are there any questions?
Any board discussion or questions? Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on agenda item 11. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, thank you. We'll now move on. Oh, thank you so much. Anything else?
I have cost recovery is an important part of the discipline process. By recovering costs for the board, we keep costs lower for licensees not involved in the discipline process. As reported at the Enforcement Committee, the SIs began using DCA's cost tracking system and the board has approved implementation of cost recovery for the SIs cases. The SIs have begun putting their hours in and will continue to do so. Due to the length of the administrative hearing process, it will take a few months for cost recovery to be assessed. This is something the board will continue to be updated on. It should be noted in the last 3 years, we have collected over $700,000 in cost recovery, and we expect that amount to increase with the change with the SIs.
Thank you. That was impressive.
Thank you.
I have just one question, just as a
please.
follow-up. So special investigators will be separate from enforcement and will be under admin. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Enforcement Committee report. Mr. Maxey was unable to be here. So Ms. Moore, thank you so much for being willing to step in.
Thank you. Enforcement cost savings, as discussed at prior board meetings, the Enforcement Division has implemented several cost-saving measures. This includes changing the licensee applicant case review unit from staff services analysts to program technicians, and turning the staff service managers into special investigators, and as associate governmental program analysts into an SI, special investigator. The cost savings for the staff service managers to PTs, threes will save an average of $6,500 per month. The additional SIs have allowed the SI unit to take back 174 cases since it costs approximately $220 per hour for DOI to conduct the investigation. The board has saved approximately $888,580. The Enforcement Committee is committed to finding and implementing additional opportunities for cost savings. The disciplinary guidelines update. We are excited to announce that the new disciplinary guidelines have been published. These update guidelines will assist the Enforcement Division in keeping consumers safe. We appreciate the hard work of our Board Regulations Counsel, Christy. How you said? Shields. Sorry, Philip. And Board Attorney Ken Swatson. For the hour breakdown, we have 3,424 hours total of investigations time times 220 per hour totals of 753,280 in costs saved. This program started 3/16/2022 and has been going continuously since then. Total amount of hours determined by how many hours each investigator has spent per case. So far, some cases have not yet closed, so the total hours will increase. That's my report.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board? Seeing none, is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on 11B in Bravo. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. I believe we will move on to agenda item 12, Psychiatric Technician Ad Hoc Committee. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since the last board meeting on August 16th, we met once on September 30th. We did have a scheduled October meeting that was canceled due to illness and will be rescheduled. In the early stages, I feel like we've been pretty productive in reaching out to stakeholders or trying to find out ways we can reach out more to certain stakeholders and developing our allies. In fact, we had a phone conference meeting with probably the largest, and I probably need to be corrected on this, but I believe they're the largest union representation for the psychiatric technicians in California, California Association of Psychiatric Technicians. Their union president, along with Ms. Yamaguchi, Ms. Moore, and myself, just wanted to solidify our partnership as we continue to establish allies and finding out other views or perspectives on how we can further pursue and increasing the visibility of psychiatric technicians and the marketability and making it so that we have more options as psych techs and advancing in our careers. I'm looking forward to our next meeting once we schedule that. And thank you for all the BVN PT staff who had participated and provided their input in these board meetings, these ad hoc meetings, I should say. Ms. Yamaguchi, anything to add?
Thank you for all your hard work. That sounds very exciting. Is there any other board discussion or questions? Is there any public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment on agenda item 12. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 13, public comment on items not on the agenda. Please note, the board may not discuss or take any action on any item raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. We are now open for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none, is there any public comment online?
We are open for public comment for agenda items not on the agenda. For items not on the agenda, if you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, wish to continue?
Yes, thank you.
I have one comment, if
Please.
I may.
Yeah.
I don't think we say it enough. The dedication and hard work of all of our BVN PT staff under the leadership of Mr. Ito and Ms. Yamaguchi. It's as seamless and collaborative as any organization I've ever seen. So thank you for your continued dedication and hard work.
I absolutely second that. Well said, Mr. Durking.
Thank you so much. We value the board tremendously.
All right, moving on to agenda item 14, suggestions for future agenda items.
From the board, right?
Yeah. From the board. All right, seeing none. We will move to agenda item 15, closed session. Don't we usually agree to adjourn? We need a motion that we agree to adjourn, right? I have a motion to, can I have a motion to retire to closed session and not reconvene in open session? The meeting will adjourn at the completion of the closed session, and a second.
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
Leslie Moore, second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion about that? Is there any public comment in the room regarding that? Can we find out if there's any public comment online regarding that motion?
We are open for public comment on the motion to close to adjourn after closed session. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... in order to find your hand. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Crickets the whole meeting.
Thank you so much, though, for being willing to be our moderator. We will now take a roll call vote regarding that. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I say yes. That motion carries by a vote of 7. The open session stands adjourned at 11:24 a.m. Thank you all for your participation and help to make this meeting so successful.